Hey guys, today we're gonna talk about AutoTools plugin for TASKER. This is from Autoapps and it does a lot of things with your TASKER that usually you can't. We're gonna be testing this on a few devices actually, just to test what works and what doesn't. So I have a Nexus 6P on Nougat, so Android 7, we're gonna try it out. And also have a LG G3 on Android Marshmallow. And good old Lollipop and a tablet. And this is not rooted, so you have to bear that in mind. So, that my Lollipop tests aren't on the rooted device. So we're gonna go as usual in the TASKER plugin video. We're gonna go through all the actions that AutoTools have to offer. Let's have a look. If you're on a desktop device, you can click on selected action to jump into the section that you're interested in. On a mobile, just check the video description and go to my website for more details, or just scan through as the tags are available. We're gonna start with something unfortunate because I haven't got a clue what the action wait and report is. All I figure out that action wait should be used, and then we can use action report to get some sort of information from it. But if someone can give me a few clues, I'd appreciate that. You know that TASKER allows you to play with arrays. AutoTools also expands on this idea. So basically in the input field, this is where you enter your array or multiple arrays. You can either enter the variable or you can read the file, but this is when it goes to the input arrays. So you can just create an array by entering the elements itself. Elements by default are separated by comma, and the arrays are separated by this vertical line. You can change the separators, so if you have prepared like a file and it's already formatted, you can just simply replace this. There is also an option to process the CSV comma separated values files as well, so you can import them a little bit more easier. So as you can see, this is very good if you have array information. Output section is what you get back after the processing array. So you can either choose a different names for your arrays, or if you want to keep them the same by default, they're gonna be assigned the same. And then you've got a few options. Sorting, so how you sort your either arrays or elements. You can add or remove elements within an array, so you can either push onto or pop an element. Merging, so if you've got two arrays and you want to combine them, you have some different formats or different rules on it. And filtering, so if you want to compare two arrays together for the elements and pick the elements you wish to save. So everything is available, as you can see, as a local variable for you to process further and use it in a TASKER creations. Next up are Chrome custom tabs. You know those windows that you can open that are not exactly a Chrome windows, but they look like it? That's what it is. You can create a custom window that, apart from loading a website, will contain few other information available to you. So you can decide about the color of the window to match your, I don't know, a scene or anything. Remember, the transparency slider should be moved, otherwise it will be completely transparent. You can also create custom labels. You have to separate them by comma. And those will be visible in the three-dot menu. I'm going to show you that in a second. There are some options for icons which are going to be placed at the bottom as well, so you can add this to your window if you choose so. So when the window is loaded, you don't have much options in terms of navigation. It's pretty much loads the window and you can click on the stuff within that. So I'm going to launch that and I'll show you where the custom action labels are. Obviously, all it's linked to the Autoapps notification, so if you want to create some commands, etc., you can do so. So this is how it works, and there's custom labels there in the corner, and that's your Chrome custom tab. Another brilliant action is connectivity. The most useful, in my opinion, is a boolean which tells you whether you're connected to the internet or not. It's useful for all your internet actions, etc. So you don't have to go through the task and performing it and waiting for timeouts. So you can use that. There's a few other options. You can check whether you're connected to a specific device or you are connected to Wi-Fi and what Wi-Fi's are around you. and that will be available as a local variables for you to be displayed. As you can see, the connectivity is a boolean, so give you true or false. And just a side note here, the network connectivity, it was returning some errors on Marshmallow and Lollipop device. It was working fine on my Nougat device, so just bear that in mind when working with this action. Next up on the list are dialogues. You have 15 different dialogues you can create using AutoTools, and they will pop in on your display and require some sort of user interaction. And based off that, on that interaction, you'll have variables, local variables available to you to use. So I'm not going to create every single one for you. I'll just kind of show you what it's like. Just create a title of your dialogue. That's usually the main header, and then you have some options. So in this list, you have different lists you can fill in. You can decide about the color, background, etc., and what actions they will perform. So without boring you, I'm very quickly going to go through all of them, very quickly explaining what they are and how they look like, so you wouldn't be here forever. So let's start. This is how the list look like. So you have a few options there. This is just OK button, so for good for notifications. You also have OK cancel, so if you want to have additional choices, or yes no answer. You can get to specify your 2 answers or 3 answers if you want some more. That's a dialog with 3 choices. You can pick a color and transparency. You can place them up and get the location detail. You can let the user to select a date, browse the files, or you can just show a progress bar when you're waiting for something. Next one is user input, so type that stuff in or select a picture. In this one, you just have to populate it with pictures. You have a sig bar for sliding the timeline or something, and the fingerprint sensor. Next action is controlling the flashlight, which is available on Marshmallow and Up devices, so bear that in mind. And you have few states, and the most interesting obviously is pattern, when you can decide about which pattern you want to use. There is a nice handy feature that allows you to record the pattern by typing, but the pattern itself is just a string containing milliseconds of on and off times. Next up are gestures that are available on the screen, so you can just flick up and down, left and right, swap it and whatnot. It will create a custom overlay over your screen, and you can put a background on it. Also, you can put some icons on it, so you can move them around and respond to the movement by issuing actions within the Autoapps. That works on all versions of the Android I've tested it on, so you can use this. And there's loads of different settings you can use, so have a good look and read, and you will be able to create the screen overlay and use it for gestures. I will show you how to add the icon. So basically, if you add a draggable icon on your screen, you can then move it around depending on your touch, and perhaps you could use it as to set up a position. And when the icon is dragged into a position, and the notification will be displayed, or maybe the action will be issued. So basically this is how it works, and this is how to set it up. This action, this is JSON read and write, and basically you can read and write JSON formatted files. These are files with data, and you have a few options there. So basically you can change the format of what your JSON is formatted like, and then you can input it in either as a variable or file, or just plain copy and paste in here. And then you can extract some fields from it. So for example, if you have a, I don't know, a JSON about the car manufacturers, you can pick a manufacturer, and that will be assigned from that file as a variable or array, depending on how many different settings you've got. So basically this is to read the desired values, and to give them the answers or the elements within that JSON file. The write action, however, is to append or change the values or build up the database itself. So you can create a new JSON, or you can use existing JSON file to update, and then depending on your needs, you can either create a new key, so you can create a new element, or you can just update the existing ones. I know this is brief about Json, but I'm not here to teach you about Json, I'm here about Autoapps. And the next action is the LogCat, and basically LogCat is just a system dump file. It'll give you a lot of random information about the Android system. So this is probably best for developers or if you're troubleshooting something. I don't think I would ever use this myself. Who knows, maybe. But yeah, if you have a desire of getting a LogCat, then you can use this to obtain it. You can limit it, you can search by Regex, so it's available there for you. Another action is maths. You can do the basics in TASKER, and in here you have few more things you can do. So you can enter your set of numbers. You can either enter them the numbers manually, or you can by entering number and then separate them by comma, or you can pass a variable with them, and then a set of different math operations will be available to you. So you can calculate the average, you can calculate the sum of all the numbers, or you can just pick the minimum and the maximum value. So this is something available through AutoTools as well, and I'd imagine it's a little bit harder to get these values just using TASKER alone. Another option is Muzei, or whatever you pronounce this. This is actually an app, so you have to download the app with the same name, and it sets the backgrounds to slideshows. And thanks to AutoTools, you can set the different pictures and the timings and everything, and automatically change these settings. You have to go to the app itself in the live wallpapers and select AutoTools as a source. OCR action basically allows you to read the text from the picture, so stuff that you used to be able to do on scanners. So once the file is selected, or pass the variable with the file if that changes. If you want to have all the lines of text available on the picture as an array, then this action will take the picture and obviously scan it, read the text, and pass it on as a array of different strings available for you to read. So basically that's all it does, and if you've got quite vivid imagination, you could do plenty with it, especially when you use this with your camera app and taking fresh pictures. Another action, it's Regex. And TASKER itself have a pretty decent Regex engine, however there's some lacking functionality, and this is where AutoTools kind of trying to jump in and fix it. Basically you can match multiple matches using Regex, so you're gonna get several different variables available with your matches. You can also decide about groups of the matching groups, so each time you get a match or something, you can assign a group to it and use it later, and all of that is available to you as a local custom variables. So in here I'm just playing about, just showing that this is work. I wanted to test it on every single device I've got just to make sure it works, and I had no trouble with it. So yeah, that's Regex for you. I also have a short video to get you started on Regex, and I'm gonna paste it somewhere in the corner for you so you could see it. If you're a fan of talking to Raspberry Pis or any Linux devices for that matter, you may like the SSH in AutoTools, as you can now using AutoTools to connect to any Linux machine using SSH. And obviously, apart from your server, port, and username and password and everything, you can assign a variable that will contain a string, which is command you want to pass, and another local variable where your response will be populated. So this is cool, and I'll be testing it with my Raspberry soon as well. So it might even replace Auto Remote for me, for that matter. AutoTools also is trying to replicate secure settings, and it has some success. It works alright on the Nougat and on the Marshmallow. I failed completely on my unrooted Lollipop though. So your experience and mileage may vary. Basically, location and night mode and batteries and everything works apart from the data, which toggles the icon, but it doesn't do anything. I'm able still to connect despite the data being off. So for the time being, you might want to use some run shell commands. I have a list of them. If the secure settings doesn't work for you, I'm gonna place the link on the screen for you so you could access that easy. Or just click in the description and follow the link in the video description there. So yeah, apart from that, you can also change the run shell settings itself, but those basically means that you're gonna run shell command in the background, so you can use that as a shell action as well. So that's the secure settings for you. This is probably gonna get updated a few times, so you might start to work on more devices in the future, but as it stands right now, you know where you are. What else we've got here? We've got action sensors, and what it does, it allows you to get raw data from any sensor on your device. The root is advised, because I had problems on my Lollipop itself. However, Marshmallow and the Nougat, both rooted devices, were working fine. Now there is a website to go to that you have to visit in order to obtain the sensor ID, and it will give you that information on that website. It's just an Android developer website, and then you can just test a sensor and retrieve the value from sensor itself. So this is pretty much how it works, and I'll include a link somewhere in the description for that, or just check my website because I've got this available written down, so you can just click on stuff instead. Next action is a system state, and this on my device was doing two things basically. First, it allowed me to see and check whether the music is playing, and the second variable is to check whether the speakerphone is being used. So those two things you can obtain the values for, and this is a Boolean value. Next up, we've got a text action. If you have a text and you want to do something with it, there's plenty of different options you could. So you can pass a text using a variable, or just copy and paste it there, and then you can either to check for currency, or you can do some padding, or you can trim the text to the specific number of characters. You can add the prefix for each text you're adding if you want to manipulate the text itself. You can look for best match to see which text you've got and what matches this text. You can encrypt, and you can also replace some values. So if you want to swap zeros for A's and etc., you can encode URL. You can remove some stuff like commas and all the punctuation marks. You can convert the units, and you can just randomize different text sets. You can toggle once, like if you got two different texts, you can just swap one for each other, for another, sorry. You can join two texts together and receive the whole connected text. You can match the text as well, and that's pretty much it. And you can use this different separator if you have text formatted already and you don't want to destroy this. That's plenty of action for text actually, and it might be very useful for processing your data. It's time for time action, and I've never been good with puns. However, the time action allows you, well, convert the time. You know, when you type in times system variable in TASKER, give you a unique state, which is like, you know, several million seconds, and that allows you to kind of translate it to readable form. Or you could also calculate a span, time difference between, let's say, Monday and Tuesday in seconds, or just you know, you could simply add times together. So let's say 3 hours on Monday and 3 hours on Tuesday, how many seconds that's gonna give you. So those operations are available through the time action. Very useful, and it kind of saves you a lot of math and a lot of calculation back and forth. Also with AutoTools, you've got another way of creating toasts. So apart from use HTML extra option for formatting, you can decide the usual about the background, colors and everything. One thing to notice though, if you create a new toast, and set the custom colors. Remember to move the transparency slider. It works on all devices, but if you don't move the transparency slider, your toast will be basically invisible, and that what got me first time, and I couldn't see anything. So yeah, that's toast working for you. And lastly, we get to the last action available, which is Vibrate. In a similar fashion to flashlight, we can simply just modify the way vibration works. We can decide about custom patterns. These patterns are basically a time stamp in milliseconds, so whether the tap is down or up, and give you millisecond timestamp, and creates a vibration pattern, so you could use it for your custom notification for the moments when your device is in a pocket and you need extra vibration for whatever reason. As usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. The written tutorial for AutoTools plugin is available on my website, Not Enough Tech. Click on subscribe if you've not done so, it helps me a lot. Visit my website, bookmark it, or sign up for a newsletter, and I will see you in either new article or in new video. Take care, bye!